Alright, so I'm going to try and make this video as short as possible because I really don't have that particularly much to say on this topic. And what I mean by this is that DC recently announced that Batman Year 1 is no longer canon, and that the new Batman Year 0 storyline, written by Scott Snyder and drawn by Greg Capullo, is going to be his new in-continuity origin story. Now, of course, a lot of fans of that story are complaining that this is sacrilege, it's the best Batman origin story ever written, yada yada yada. And I'm actually kind of glad that DC actually made some good, raised some valid concerns as to why why Year 1 just cannot work with the New 52 continuity. Catwoman from the New 52 cannot work in that story. James Gordon Jr., who's like 20 years old, would be 5 or 6 if Year 1 was still canon and stuff. And they basically used a couple of examples like that to justify why the story needs to be changed. It just doesn't fit with the current continuity whatsoever. And of course this could change. DC is known for their reboots, and they will probably at some point reboot this again, and Year 1 may be canon again. We don't know at this point. But here's the thing. I really don't care that Year 1 is no longer canon. I'm actually kind of glad, because I really dislike Year 1 as a Batman story. As a Jim Gordon story, I easily think it's one of the best storylines that's ever been done with the character. It's one of my personal favorite Jim Gordon stories, along with Black Mirror, also written by Scott Snyder. But Year 1 completely fails as an origin story. See, the way I see it, an origin story, in my opinion, should basically explain who the character is, what his personality is, what is his motivation for doing the things he's doing, what's his personal history, how is he doing the things he's doing in the present, what are his means, his tools, his training and stuff. And none of that is in Year 1. The book never, ever, ever, ever explains anything about who Batman trained with, how did he train, how he invented any of his gadgets. It doesn't go into his motivation. His whole motivation is basically, my parents were killed, I'm pissed off, and I'm going to dress up as a dude in a costume and beat the shit out of them. That's it. The book completely and utterly fails, in my opinion, as a Batman origin story. It doesn't go into the character's motivation for anything, and the only thing we learn about Batman is kind of what he did during the first year, and why he chose to use a bat as his sort of motif for his costume. And that's pretty much it. The book really doesn't work, at least stand alone. Now, you do have some stories that are set in the same time period, like Batman Shaman, written by Neil Gaiman, which do run concurrently with Year 1, and they basically show you what the hell Batman is doing during his first year. This book doesn't show that at all. The book almost completely focuses on Gordon. Batman's basically a glorified guest star / cameo in his supposed defining origin story. And yeah, like I've already said why I think this book completely fails as a Batman origin story. Like, if this book was completely about Gordon and it was just entirely a Gordon origin story and Batman was mostly kept in the background, kind of like Gotham Central, I think I would like this book infinitely more. But yeah, this story is pretty much a mixed bag for me. All the Jim Gordon bits are absolutely fantastic. All the Batman bits are either boring, superfluous, or they just don't feel right to me. And yeah, I don't care about this book. I'm actually glad this isn't canon. Hell, if I was in charge of DC, I would make Batman Begins canon, because I think that's just a far, far, far leaps and bounds superior origin story to Year 1. And it's personally my favorite take on Batman's origin. Now, as for 0 Year, I'm kind of interested in what Snyder's going to do, because in the New 52 continuity, Bruce Wayne has sort of been operating for 7 years, like 6 years as Batman, and like he operated during the 0 Year, during his first year, sort of as just a guy with a bunch of tools and gadgets, and he sort of disguised himself as criminals, because during the Zero Year you had these Red Hood criminals going all over the place, and he basically disguised himself as regular criminals, kind of what he did later on through his identity as Matches Malone. And so Year Zero is going to be basically explaining how he built all of his gadgets, what is his sort of motivation in the New 52. It's going to be showing him how he developed his costume and stuff, how the Batman motif sort of evolved during the Zero Year, how he made mistakes and stuff, like why he's not living in Wayne Manor during the Zero Year. And basically it's what I consider... It's basically what I think Batman Year One should have been. It should have been entirely focused on Bruce Wayne figuring out during his first year back in Gotham how he's gonna begin his crusade on crime. What's his motivation for doing this? What are his means for doing this? And yada yada yada. You get my point. So yeah. I don't give a shit that Batman Year One is not canon anymore. I'm actually glad, because I think that's... Classifying that thing as even the definitive Batman origin story is just complete and utter bullshit. It's a fantastic Gordon story. It's a terrible Batman origin story. And yeah, I'm glad it's not canon anymore. I've never cared about this book. Not even the art. Even the art by David Mazzucchelli really doesn't work for me. It's like this really realistic, ultra grimy look that doesn't fit in with what Batman is later on whatsoever. It just clashes with all the other Bat books that sort of chronologically take place after the book. And yeah, so this has just been me for 7 minutes explaining why I hate Year One and why I think making it non-canon is a good idea. So in conclusion, I think making Year One not canon is probably one of the best moves DC has made in a long time. I hate this book so much as a Batman origin story, and I cannot wait to see what Scott Snyder does with the New 52 origin. My one problem with Year Zero right off the bat, it's that it's going to be 11 issues long, which means I'm going to see the conclusion of this story in like a year, which is just fucking annoying to me. I hated waiting for his whole owl arc to be over, because I had to wait an entire fucking year for that thing to end, and it was just really annoying. So yeah, you can expect the Batman Year Zero review in about a year to a year and a half. So yeah, I hope you guys are still with me a year or a year and a half from now. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this news. I got really nothing much to say. I'm just going off on yet another stupid tangent like I do at the end of a video. So I'm gone.